Well, I'm standing here with two wonderful people, and you know, a beautiful garden actually takes a lot of time, design, work, and thought, and a lot goes into the process before we even start it. So I'm here with Teresa Hazen from Legacy. Teresa, tell me again what we're doing here, because this is new and different, isn't it?
This is a really new and special garden at Legacy Good Samaritan. This is a block away from the main hospital. It has been one of our therapeutic spaces, but it has declined over the years and needed significant remodeling, and we're at that point right now. And so a main use will be to have the Rehab Institute of Oregon patients come down for PT, OT, and recreational therapy down here at the garden. And as well, we're designing it for a neighborhood park really aimed at families and their children.
Because all of the parks you do at the Legacy Systems, you really want the community to feel as part of it. You don't have to be at the hospital for a reason. You can still come in, and this is designed specifically for that.
Exactly. This is for community benefit.
And one of the people that has been a part of this process is you. You're Dan Callahan. So there's a secret here, though, as to why this is special to you and why you're a part of it. Tell me about who that is.
Yes, this project, it's not often where you get to have a real deep personal meaning at the same time you go to work professionally. So this also includes a memorial for my uncle.
And
my
he
late
is?
John Callahan, the cartoonist. Who
Really?
lived a couple blocks away from here and spent some of his later days at the Rehabilitation Institute of Oregon.
Right.
So, you know, part of doing this as a contractor was worked for Legacy for years and loves to, you know, help build these community foundation jobs with them. We're also building a memorial to, you know, celebrate his cartoons.
Right.
Have an accessible space to also, you know, highlight his biography.
And so I'm sure, Dan, that I would just briefly interacting with you, I bet you really pay so much attention to every job you do. But let's be honest, this is a family member, and so this has got to take a real shine to you, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, this is probably #1 on my list of projects, and you know, it's something special to come to every day.
All right, well, you know, there you have a part of this now, but we're going to take a break, go and chat to another person about even more of the design part of this garden. Thank you both. Well, now I am in a whole different part of this new park, and I am with Brian Bainson. And Brian, tell me what it is you do and who you work for.
Sure. I'm a landscape architect here in Portland, Oregon, and I do a range of types of projects, but a big part of my work is I've been working for Legacy Health System for a number of years on a lot of their healing and therapy gardens.
Wonderful.
And I'm here today to talk about a new Legacy park.
So you have some experience working with these types of gardens.
Yes.
I would wonder, though, from what I've heard, this was really nothing. It was just a whole lot of old stuff, trees. It wasn't really ready to invite people in.
Sure.
What was the process you went through about thinking of all those different aspects to make it completely different?
Sure. Well, as in all the Legacy projects, we formed a design team to determine what the hospital wanted to get out of the park so that they could use the space with their patients, their families who come to the hospital, the staff. And so we came up with what we'd like to see in the design, basically to make it a friendly space for families and children and all the rest of the community, and really to bring the community in, because the park was a very old, tired park. It had plantings around the perimeter that made it almost a barrier to come in to use the
Almost
park.
like a fence then.
Almost like a fence.
Yeah. And then I think that you've also, because I see some old parks, like this sidewalk, there's an old fountain that's not going to be a fountain. What's that going to be?
Right, so a big challenge was, well, what from the original desigin could we use for the new park? So there was an old fountain.
Because there was a budget.
We were on a very tight budget. Right. So there was an old fountain we can turn into repurpose as a planter and put a lot of color, seasonal color in there. And then we had an old concrete and brick walk system that we can salvage part of that.
Nice.
And then add new elements to match the old elements with new brick and new concrete to tie the whole thing together.
And then Brian, there was also, because this is still a Legacy garden, so they're constantly thinking about how to utilize these spaces to help people in rehabilitation and stuff. That's all factored in, isn't it?
Exactly. So a big thing was if they bring patients out here from the Rehab Institute, they could do the therapies that they do with them at the hospital. You know, walking up a steep walkway, walking onto the grass. So we have large grass areas so the patients can learn to walk on the grass, where they can actually do putting, golf, and there's gravel areas so they can learn how to go the transition from walking on a hard surface to a soft surface.
And it really was designed because you wanted to include people in the community to use it. So there's all kinds of ways that you direct people in, and lighting at night.
Right. So a big part of it was just getting people into the park. So we've added a kind of a crosswalk. So now the park design is generally an X, so you can walk
So open.
You can open up the park. We created more areas to sit, more areas to be, and then with the plantings to really have a 4-season of garden experience. So there's something interesting all the time, something blooming, some leaf color changing, some bark interest, some leaf interest, so really a garden.
And then as you walk through the garden and come out this way, this is also where the Callahan thing is working.
Right, and so then I consulted with the Callahan Memorial folks, Tad Savinar, who's a local artist, and Jesse Stemler, who's another landscape architect in town, and we worked on the Callahan piece together.
Lovely.
So the plantings in this area will be a little bit different. They'll be a little bit more unique types of plants.
Nice. Well, there you have it. You know, we love gardening, and sometimes the gardenings come out a bit different than we're used to, but this is going to be yet another beautiful one at Legacy Hospital. So for more information, we invite you to go to gardentime.tv, and we'll click you over to their website. Thank you so much, Brian.
Great, thank you.